In this example, our first fraction is 7x squared minus 21x over x squared minus 25 divided by the second fraction, x squared minus 6x plus 9 over 2x squared minus 11x plus 5. So since we start off with division of these two rational expressions, so the first step is to convert into multiplication, meaning I'm going to keep the first fraction exactly the same. Change it to multiplication and then flip the second fraction. Be very careful, make sure your signs, your numbers, your variables are exactly the same. You don't want to make a small mistake and then lead to you doing so much work where you might get stuck or you might have the wrong answer. So be very careful when you're doing the reciprocal of the second fraction. Any small mistakes, again, you can end up doing a lot of work where you get stuck and end up nowhere, or you might get the wrong answer after doing so much work just because of a small mistake. So let's start factoring each part. In the first fraction, my numerator, 7x squared minus 21x, so here's two terms. It's not a difference of square, meaning I'm going to be looking for GCF. So what's common between 7x squared minus 21x is the 7x. When I factor out the GCF, I'm going to be left with x minus 3. Now in my denominator, x squared minus 25, that's a difference of square. So it's going to be x plus 5 and then x minus 5. So I just finished factoring the first fraction. Now let's start factoring the second fraction. Now in the numerator of the second fraction, 2x squared minus 11x plus 5 is going to be 2x minus 1 times x minus 5. So like I said before, I'm not going to write out the work, but I do recommend that you write out your work in your notes so you can understand the whole process. Now in the denominator, x squared minus 6x plus 9, that's a perfect square. So when I factor, it's going to be x minus 3 times x minus 3. And I'm going to leave it out and expand form. Now since these two fractions are multiplying, I'm going to combine as one big fraction. So what I'm going to have is 7x times x minus 3 times 2x minus 1 times x minus 5 over x plus 5 times x minus 5 times x minus 3 times another x minus 3. Alright, let's check for common factors from top and bottom and divide them if we do have any common factors. So here I have a x minus 3 in the numerator. I also have 2x minus 3 in the denominator. But since I'm only dividing, meaning I'm crossing out one x minus 3 from the numerator, I'm going to cross out one x minus 3 from the denominator. Next, I'm going to look for another one. In this case, we have the x minus 5. So since I'm dividing one x minus 5 from the denominator, I'm just going to divide one x minus 5 in the numerator. Anything else that I did not cross out nor divide, I'm just going to write it out. So 7x times 2x minus 1 over x plus 5, put that in parentheses, times x minus 3, also put that in parentheses. So I finished dividing my common factors, and anything else I did not cross out, I wrote out in our final answer, which is right here. So 7x times 2x minus 1 over x plus 5 times x minus 3. So that's your final answer. So again, start with division, convert into multiplication, and flip the second fraction. Factor each part. Make sure you're familiar with all the techniques when factoring. divide common factors, and then anything I did not divide, I just wrote it out for a final answer and then box it. That's all you have to do.